Alright, this is my video of Area 8. This is actually my second time recording this. Somehow the first recording got corrupted, so now I'm going to do it all over again. A couple of things to point out. Coming into this match, I had a couple of issues. So one of them was I just had surgery about 2 months ago, ankle surgery. So basically I made a plan not to push movement. So just keep that in mind. Like I'm really not trying to move fast. There might have been one stage where I pushed a little bit, but I really kept it pretty mellow. The other issue is that a couple days before this match, I found out that my barrel is bad. So eventually I figured out after the match that when the barrel heats up, it starts to open up and starts to push rounds to the right. And I'm pretty sure there was only one stage that really affected me because of that. So, and some of these stage plans might not be probably the most ideal plans. I think, yeah, I definitely would have had different plans if I had come the day before and actually planned it out. I got there the morning of, so all I did was get a look at the stages, and before the 4-minute walkthrough, I didn't really have any plans actually made up for any of the stages. So luckily there were only really 2 of the stages. Yeah, I'd say 2 of the stages were somewhat complex, or not really complex, but you wanted a good plan going into it. Well, here goes. Alright, so you see here the last position that I'm in here. So I actually got a foot fault for it. When I slowed the video down, pretty sure it wasn't a foot fault. So if you watch it closely, so my foot's on the fault line and kind of moves forward there. So you can see right there, you can see the light under my shoe, right? If you watch that, that's when I hit the ground, right? So I'm still good here, still on the fault line, and then that's when I hit the ground. So backing up, I actually get the first shot off before, so there's the shot, and my foot's still good, right? It doesn't come off till there. So just kind of cool to be able to slow it down and verify myself, because it's hard to, in the moment, to really dispute whatever the RO calls, whether it's true or not. And when you're shooting, you're not necessarily thinking about, oh, I did go over the fault line or I didn't, right? When you're shooting, the best type of shooting is going to be subconscious shooting. And what I recall on is feeling the fault line and feeling like I was still inside the fault line, right? And that's why I fired the shot. That's why when I finally went over, I moved my foot back here, right, and finished, because I knew at that point I wasn't good. So just it's just good for me personally to verify. Okay, yeah, I was doing the right thing, right? And the other thing is, this is the first stage of the match. I didn't want to cause a huge ruckus, calling the RM and all that. Um, and it really, I don't think it would have changed my standings all that much because, again, I came into this match thinking, hey, just shoot well and see what I can do. Not being able to move and obviously not being able to hit really far targets consistently because of the barrel, which was a weird thing because with the barrel, right before I came out, I noticed that factory ammo was actually grouping a little bit better. So what I did was I had about 2 boxes of Federal American Eagle, and I basically saved those rounds for the difficult targets. So whatever target I thought was difficult, I loaded my mags with Federal, and just like a whole nother layer of complexity that is really I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. I had some magazines where I had 5 rounds of my reloads and then 5 rounds of the Federal. So overall, this was a good start. So stage 11, I forgot to record, and you can see it in the background. It was a short course, nothing too crazy. I executed pretty straightforward, nothing fancy. Now this stage 12, was actually thrown out, but it was actually a very, very interesting stage. Alright, so I was pretty happy about this. This was the second time I ran it. I kept the same stage plan both times. So here I hit the hard cover. Now that's a good thing because if you watch, I come in, I see the activated target, and I'm thinking, okay, I can try to get 2 hits off this to shave a second or 2 off the time. So there's the first shot, and then the second shot, I try to get it, at the 45 on this way, right? I mean, ideally that's not where you want to hit it, but wait, is it? Well, whether it's ideal or not, I was tracking the target properly, so if you see that hit, I mean, that would have been pretty close to an alpha. So happy about that I was tracking it properly. So here's the setup, right? So you see the 2 targets here. You see the activated target. You see this partial here. So that partial on the right forces you to come to the right side of the stage. So here are the activators. Here's activator 1, or the steel that activates activator 1, which is there, and then the steel that activates activator 2, and that is that target. So nothing too fancy about the activators. One thing I did catch on to was the activating steel is a big popper, so it takes some time to actually activate, but once that activator is moving, it's actually moving really fast. That first swing is pretty quick. In my opinion, the fastest way to do this stage, especially if you're shooting high cap, what you're going to want to do is the winning stage time would have been so the way it's set up with the walls and everything, you could see this activator, the paper that's going to move, and that popper. So you could see those 3 things from one position, right? And then the same thing for the opposite was true. There was a position where you could see these three at one time, right? So the fastest way to do it would have been, you know, activator, mini, paper, right? Activator, mini, paper. And then this target was visible from the middle and from this side. If you leaned out, you can see it. So for the high catch, you basically just shot that kind of leaning over to the right to get the partial that's on the right. Now you see here though, the total number of shots, that's 10 shots, right? So as a production shooter, I'm not going to try to hero it and go one for one. It's kind of crazy. So I came up with the plan that I shot, which is I went mini, activator, activator, and then I took this swinger. Then I moved over to the right, and then I shot the paper and the last mini popper, right? Then I had time to move to the second position and to hit the swinger and the last partial. So I thought that was a decent way to run it. It was pretty safe, so not a whole lot of risk. Okay, so this stage was a screw up. I kind of screwed up at the end, so yeah, take a look. Okay, so I had some errors here. So this target here that I'm taking here, so there's these three targets that you see here. There's one more target at the end, and it is a headbox only target that is pretty much right on the 180. I mean, it's like 160, 170. You can see the angle, right? Like it's pretty close. Like the 180 was probably like there, and I'm pointing there, right? So kind of tricky, I guess. It could get into your head. I did not actually execute my plan. So at this point, I totally just botched the plan, right? So my plan was to hit this partial here, and then it was to hit this one and then this one, right? But what happened was when I got into position initially, I got into the wrong spot. So when I came in here to this position, I had to go about a step further back, right? So I missed it. I missed this target here. I couldn't see it. Or I missed this target here. So when I turned to do the transition, I saw the open target, so I took that one instead. Now that was an error because now I had to come back a step to see this target. Because originally I was going to go partial, headbox, which is off screen, and then when you see from the headbox you can see part of this target. So I was going to start engaging that as I moved up range in order to finally see that target, right? So basically I was going to cut down all the time and move up while I was shooting the open target. But that was totally screwed. And here, so you see these little white things that basically tell you that you hit the wall. So there's a whole thing of that next to the head box. So I clipped one of those and it caught a mic. So I didn't see it though. So from this head box to the tuxedo, that was like, this is like a, oh, this is brutal. This is like a, yeah, it's like a 1.5 second transition there. So that was awful. Right. Uh, there are a couple different ways to shoot this. I think some of the other guys did have some better plans. So with my plan, I went left to right in terms of engaging targets, and then I went left to right again. So I wasted a good amount of time doing the transitioning. If you look at some of the other guys, actually Mason totally destroyed this stage. The way that he broke it up was to take all the targets on the same side together, right? And so basically it just cut down on the transition time. And yeah, I think that would have been a better plan. So the thing here, I didn't want to shoot anything on the move because of my ankle. And you see here when I get into this, so this position was important because there were 5 steel poppers, and if you hadn't gone to the right spot, you wouldn't be able to see all of them. So the right spot was actually, I indexed off this wall right here. So basically I had to come in contact with that wall, right? Like basically be parallel with that. And then I knew I was good. But when you see here, I actually, when I get into position, I end up standing up. So so from here, yeah, I stood up. That was not good. And then you see when I make the transition to here, I bend my knees, right? Because I'm like, yeah, that doesn't feel right. So yep. So I had a makeup on this tuxedo. It was a good distance, maybe almost 20 yards, I'd say. Yeah. I threw a makeup and I didn't need it, but I called it good because the second shot was touching the black. So all right. Okay, this stage was somewhat interesting. It's mirrored, so basically the stage was a V. So this was the stage itself, and actually started on this side, and the other start position was mirrored, so it was just on the other side. Now it's tempting to think as a right-handed shooter that you want to go left to right, but I thought it was way better to start from the right side for a couple reasons. Number one, you absolutely had to hit that position right there. So from that position, you saw a head box only target, and it's pretty steep. It's a pretty steep angle, so you absolutely had to hit that spot properly. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm running up range, right? If I'm running up range, and I don't want to overrun that position right there, right? So I thought, okay, I'm going to start on this right side and take the time while I'm drawing to make sure I'm in a good spot. Okay. You see, there's this popper here can be seen from the other side, so I didn't have to take it here. So the other reason I wanted it to start at the right side was because of this target right here. So you could see that target from this window. but it was really awkward. It was angled, and it was, this is like, 3 yards from the window. It was, a little bit further, maybe six yards or so. It just didn't make sense. So if you went left to right, most videos that I've seen, people took this target through the window, and for me, it just seemed like it's just a waste of time, because why do that when you can take it through this slit right here as you're moving up into position, right? So I don't know, it just seemed like a win-win to start from the right side. So the middle of this window, this mini popper is available. So that's the only place you can hit that mini popper. So the best plans, I think, yeah, almost all the plans I've seen, people just stopped at the window to hit that, and and that target right there. So I screwed up here because I hit it and then I stared at it, right? So from the time I hit it, it's a good half second. Yeah, it was like a half second. So this was just a habit that I've built up at big matches, where if there's a hard piece of steel, I kind of take a little bit more time to over-confirm. And in this case, I misused that. I should have made it part of my stage plan to take one shot at it and immediately move, because that target is available at the end, and I would have had plenty of rounds to hit it. So that was just not very good, not precise, not enough precision in my stage planning there. Running back, again, I was pretty careful about running. Hit the steel, reload. So on this parcel right here, I actually just barely nicked the no-shoot in the head box. Now, I remember this moment so clearly. So the entire stage, I'm shooting it subconsciously, right? I'm just letting I'm not really exerting anything, right? I'm just shooting my pace. When I get to this target, for some reason, in my mind, my conscious mind wakens, and it says, smash! So that's exactly what I do, is I try to split as fast as I can, and I dip that shot, just kissed the top of the head of that no-shoot. And before the stage was over, I had a pretty good feeling that it did something wrong there. So just another learning point. Just keep, once you're in the groove, once you're subconsciously shooting, just keep riding the wave, because otherwise you're gonna make mistakes. Alright, this one's a pretty short stage. For production, you had to fit a reload in here somewhere, so the plan for me was, as I moved up the stage, I'm going to try to get that reload in. So the big thing was, I wanted to take this target as soon as possible and get that reload done as I'm moving up the stage. Yeah, I had too many makeup shots there. I sort of missed my position here, so I should have been about a half step over. You could actually, so I was wide enough. So if you were in the right spot and you were wide enough, you could actually see everything. Including this target from there without having to move. But I kind of missed it, so I had to lean over a little bit more. All right, this stage. So this stage you could start in two different positions. The start positions were mirrored on the stage, but the targets were not mirrored. So, in my opinion, you pretty much, the best starting spot was on the right side because yeah, I don't know, it just made sense to start on the right side. You're gonna see there's actually, so back here there's six pieces of steel and a paper target. It's probably about 20 yards away. So you have to throw a reload in there in the stage somewhere, so I did it here. And this one, it's just 1, 2, and then the 2 steel in the back. So to me that was easier because if you start on the other side, now you would have to come into this position right here, and yeah, you would have to come into this position here. And I was right on the fault line, so yeah, it just made it easy to make it two positions. You start on the fault line side, and that second position is real easy, so just less room for error. Alright, this stage was quite a high hit factor stage. If I had known that coming into, well, I mean, I should have known it just by looking at it, but you know, if I had actually planned, came a day earlier, planned and all that, I would have done things slightly differently. All the targets are pretty close. Even the far targets here are maybe 10 yards, so nothing crazy difficult. Just, you know, be aware of the no shoots and stuff. So my stage plan, in terms of actual planning, I actually executed the plan well. Just right here, so there's a tuxedo target. It's probably like 4 yards away. And in my stage plan, I said to myself, all right, I'm just gonna stand there and shoot at it, right? And that was kind of poor choice because of how high the high hit factor stage. What I should have done is started backing up as I was taking it, because you know it wasn't a hard target at all. Yeah, that would have saved me, you know, a good amount of time, a good amount of points. So overall, between that, the rest of the shooting was pretty good. On this particular stage, I compared myself with the winners, and I was probably about 2 seconds off the pace. So if I had incorporated that movement at the beginning, maybe a second and a half, which sounds about right. I think just from watching some of the other guys, their splits were a little bit faster. So you know, over the course of the entire stage, that's probably where that second and a half comes into play.
Are you ready? Stand by.
So this was pretty much an IPSC stage. I think this was the hardest stage of the match. Yeah, I thought it was the hardest one. I was like, I think second or third up to shoot, and I was not ready to shoot this stage. Okay, like I literally, as I was going up to shoot, I was finalizing my plan. And the reason why it was a little challenging for production was because once you got up here, if you didn't plan the targets correctly, you had to do a standing reload, right? So So I wanted to avoid doing a standing reload at all costs. Um, so that's kind of how I planned it out. So this steel back there is only visible from the beginning of the stage. It actually might be visible at the port as well, but as far as I know, nobody shot it from the port, because even from the port, it was probably 20 yards away. So yeah, from the start position, it's probably about somewhere between 35 to 40 yards away. So my initial plan was to take 1, 2, steel, and then there's a target back here, and then I was going to shoot that one as I moved up. And then once I was done shooting that, I was going to do a reload and then shoot these 2 open targets from right there. I stopped because I didn't want to overrun the wall right here. Yeah, I didn't want to clip the wall. I've done that too many times, and at the same match 2 years ago. So I wanted to stop and take those 2. I think, if I remember correctly, this target was slightly angled, so I didn't want to throw bad shots at it. What does end up happening is I do a double take on the steel to make sure it falls, and if I had more time to plan this, what I would have integrated in my stage plan is I would have just taken one shot at it, one good shot, and just left, whether it was up or not. Just based on the hit factor, I think the high hit factor was like in the sixes, and just thinking about that, it's gonna be a wash if I try to check it, stay on it, and throw a makeup shot, right? Because even that makeup shot's not a guarantee, and so that's gonna suck up a second and a half at least. So yeah, a low hit factor like this, I think I would have just fired one and then just moved on. So at this point, when I hit it, I actually saw the round impact low right, and so that's why I do a double take, just to make sure that it actually fell. Well, I'm shooting 146 power factor, so I didn't check my power factor before showing up. So if I knew it was that high, I would have just left it, because if it doesn't fall with 146 power factor, then it's probably not going to fall. So I think the ideal thing here would have been to take those 2 on the move. But again, I was trying not to shoot and move because of my ankle. So here, I'm taking that stack all the way in the back. It was probably about 20 to 25 yards away. And then from here, you have to take that paper. That's the only spot you can see it. So this is the one stage, I think, where the accuracy of the barrel actually screwed me over. So I threw a makeup shot on the steel, and there was a delta on that last paper target there, and it was to the right. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the barrel. Towards the end of the stage, all the rounds and heating up, and I did end up getting a Barstow barrel, and I tested it. I tested it against the stock barrel, and it's pretty obvious the stock barrel there's something wrong with it. They had a bad batch or something. All right, so on this stage, One thing that I should have noticed on this stage is the swinger back here is actually pretty fast. So, yeah, it's just, that's probably the tricky thing. There's also a partial back here in the back that was pretty difficult. I ended up throwing a no shoot onto it. So the start position is gun on barrel and mags on opposite barrel. So I decided to start the gun on the left side so I can pick up a mag as I'm moving up towards the stage. So this position, you didn't have to go there. So there was no reason to, there was no reason to go there. I don't know if that was if something happened and they like are missing a wall or something, but yeah, you didn't have to go up there. So I picked this gun up with two hands because I didn't want the gun to slip and drop it. So that's why I pick it up with two hands. So I kind of messed up there. I should have. So when I came in here, I should have actually I should have been a little wider and have my right foot on this side of the fault line so that I could actually start moving here, actually start moving up. That would have been the better tactic. So I'm taking this no shoot up here, and the first shot is low, like it's not even close. It's like towards the center of the target. So yeah, that was 100% me. And then so I throw a no shoot, throw a makeup, and then I have a mic on the swinger.
Are you ready?
So I think after that no shoot, it kind of distracted me, and then I wasn't tracking that swinger properly. I didn't realize how fast it was, so I think I was slightly behind it. That's my guess.
Are you ready?
So this stage, I pushed a little bit on this stage, running on the run this way. Yeah, this was there was a partial that was pretty close, and then like steel at like, I don't know, 12 yards, and it was like, two pieces of steel, so it was like that and that, like right up, one on top of the other. It was poppers.
Stand by.
So here, the fastest way to do this would have been so you had to really be careful here, right? You had to hit the corner, the fault line, to get this target, right, and to clear it. And this is right on the 180, so you just got to be careful of that. So the fast way to do this would have been to take this first, and then to take this as you drop, after you drop step out, you start getting momentum to go up. You take that target, right? That would have been the fast way to do it. I actually took this one first just because I wanted to intentionally slow down. I didn't want to break my ankle. So yeah, it worked out pretty well actually, because it forced me to slow down coming in, and it's set up perfectly for this. So this was actually a pretty good run. Yep, and then this is just two here, and one more. All pretty close targets. All right, here we got a little like wobbly platform. So as an unloaded start, the tricky part here is there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of steel. And the way that they're positioned with the walls here is that you So when you get on the platform, you had to get up towards the front of the platform to be able to see everything. So the best way to shoot it was to just hit the position correctly, so you didn't have to move on the platform, right? Because the more you move, the more movement you're going to see in your side picture. So the hard targets, or sort of the targets that required a really steep angle, it was one of these steels back here. So you kind of had to lean to see that, and then you had to lean to see this big popper if you were on the platform, right? It was behind this wall. So basically, you would have, if you left the steel up and you went onto the platform, you had to do two hard leans, right? And that means more movement in the side picture. So what I did was I took the big steel from the back. So I leaned on that one right there. It was a pretty good run, other than the makeup. I think if I didn't have the makeup, that would have been pretty close to a stage win, possibly. So, yep, that's it. That's the last stage. After this was chrono. I know I missed a couple stages. Just totally forgot to break out the phone and get it recorded. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think.